Thank you, Parrish, for the lovely introduction, and good evening, everyone. I'd like to invite our graduates to take a little trip with me. Think back to your very first day in corporate America. Which Genesys Works partner hired you? Was it an IT firm, a financial institution, a law firm, maybe one of the consulting companies? On that very first day, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? I remember my first day in corporate America. I arrived at headquarters like a deer in headlights. I had no idea where to park. I didn't know where to go. So I did what any reasonable person does. I decided to fake it till I made it. I smoothed out my suit, I grabbed my bag, and I followed the crowd, all the while praying that I was going in the right direction. A colleague pulled me aside one day and asked, "Are you still drinking from that fire hose?" I smiled and nodded, and I thought to myself, drinking? I'm trying not to choke. And that's when that little voice started getting louder. You know the one that sometimes whispers or sometimes shouts, "What are you doing here? Do you really think you can do this? Get out now before they discover you can't do this." Does anyone else have that voice? Here's why I'm bringing it up when we're here to celebrate. Because that voice is going to be with you for the rest of your life. It's going to show up at college orientation, at your next job, every time you try something new. So here's what I want you to do when it does. Name it and catch it, and then shift your mindset. What if this moment isn't a threat? What if it's actually a gift? What if it's exactly the opportunity that it looks like? Now, I know that sounds like a stretch when your heart is pounding, but tonight we have proof that it's true. We have the evidence of what you faced, what you chose, and what you built on the other side of that fear or uncertainty. That evidence is what we're here to celebrate. Let's go. So I want to talk about receipts, not the ones you carry in your wallet, the kind you keep in your gut. Here's what the receipts say about you, graduates, this past year. You went to school, tasked with lots of reading, writing, studying, taking tests, while simultaneously holding down a job in corporate America where the expectations were real and the adults around you had decades of experience on you. You managed responsibilities at home, caring for siblings, cooking, cleaning, showing up for your family and friends, while also showing up for your internship. And you build relationships in a professional setting where nobody handed you the rule book. Now let me tell you what the numbers say about you. This year, more than 200 students applied, 70 were accepted, and approximately 50 will complete the program. This wasn't a lottery. This was earned. Over the last 10 years, Genesys Works NCR has trained 625 young people who collectively earned $4,650,000 in real wages. That deserves an applause, absolutely. And 70% of alumni 5 years out are working in the tech sector. Congratulations, graduates, you now belong to this community. And every dollar that you earned was a major company saying your work is worth paying for. But here's what the money can't measure. To do all of this, you called on something deep, but I want to name it. And I want to name it out loud because when we name and claim our strengths, we perform better, we bounce back faster, and we build more. So let me name a few of yours. Perseverance. You did this during your senior year while applying to college, while carrying your family's hopes on your shoulders. You kept going when stopping was certainly understandable. Teamwork. You figured out how to be a contributing member of a professional team in a world where most roles, especially in tech, depend on your ability to work well with others. That skill is priceless. Curiosity. You showed up somewhere completely new and chose to lean in versus checking out. That willingness to ask and explore is a superpower. Stay curious. It will open doors you didn't even know were there. These are your receipts. Nobody can take them from you. Now, here's something I really want you to hear. Genesys Works did not give you any special powers. What it did was to create the conditions for the strengths you already possessed to show up and to shine. I think about a young woman who went through this program not long ago. She applied without really knowing what she wanted to do. The summer training helped her figure that out. She's now in college, already working in her field. She didn't do those things because Genesys Works handed them to her. She found them because the program gave her the space to discover what was already there. So let me tell you what I see when I look in this room. I see bravery, not confidence. Confidence comes later. I mean the bravery to walk into a building where nobody looked like you, where the rules weren't written, where you could have failed publicly and walk in anyway. At 16 or 17 years old, that's not a small thing. That is remarkable. I see social intelligence. You learned how to read a corporate room without anybody handing you the manual. You watched, you adapted, you built real relationships with people who had decades on you. That skill will outlast any technical certification you'll ever earn. I see self-regulation. On the days when you were tired, overwhelmed, maybe a little frustrated, you still showed up. You figured out how to manage yourself across every domain of your life at the same time. That's a skill adults struggle to master. You're already ahead. And I see hope. You applied to a program that asked you to believe in a future that you couldn't fully see yet. You said yes because something unfamiliar, you knew that something familiar was part of you and that you could actually do it. That's not naivete. That is one of the most sophisticated things a human being can do. So here's your assignment. This week, not someday. This week, pick one of these strengths: bravery, social intelligence, self-regulation, hope, curiosity, perseverance, and tell someone out loud. Tell a parent, tell a supervisor, tell yourself in the mirror. You spent this year proving that you have these strengths. Now deploy them on purpose. There's one more receipt that I want to acknowledge tonight, and it might be the most important one. You did not do this alone. Look around this room. Really, really look. Your family is here. Parents, grandparents, siblings, guardians. People believed in something they'd never seen before, who sent you off to a corporate office as a high school student and trusted that something good was on the other side of that door. For many of your families, especially our new American families, that took extraordinary courage. Tonight, we honor your families, along with your supervisors, Genesys Works leaders and counselors, and your school leaders. Their belief in you helped you to believe in yourself. So this week, show some gratitude. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A text, a note, a 20-second voice message. Thank you. What you did for me helped me do this, and I won't forget it. The people in this room helped you get here. Take them with you. So I want to take you back to that first day. Remember that deer in headlights feeling? Now imagine walking into that same building today, but you are not the same person. You've navigated that space. You've proven it to yourself, and that changes everything about how you walk into any door. So here's my closing charge to you. Name one strength that you discovered this year. Thank one person who helped you get here. And the next time that little voice shows up, and it will, remember this. Remember this room. Remember all the receipts that you've collected. Claim all the strengths that you possess. Walk through your next door on purpose, not hoping things work out, not waiting to feel ready, and not letting that little voice decide what you're capable of. On purpose. Because the most powerful credential that you will ever carry on is not your resume. It is the knowledge of who you are and what you bring to every room, every team, every chapter that comes next. The life ahead of you is yours. Build it on purpose. Congratulations, class of 2026.